most important thing is what I'm actually saying, which is let's take control of North Sea oil and gas pricing. We published a study on that about 12 months ago, which showed that we could save £10 billion. We could knock that off our energy bills. And I think just this week, perhaps in your paper, or it might have been the Telegraph, a story came out about the 50 billion of decommissioning costs that we're facing in the North Sea in the next few years. No government has taken responsibility for that. If we price control North Sea oil and gas now, we can save money and set aside money in a fund to pay these decommissioning costs. We can protect the jobs that we've got, maximize extraction, and actually just make sense of all of this so that everybody wins.
Now, today's Times reports that the Prime Minister is expected to delay making a decision on whether to go ahead with 2 North Sea oil and gas projects until the autumn. The Times reports today that the government is concerned about the optics of approving new drilling during a summer of heat waves and wildfires. One surprising convert to the plan is the Ecotricity founder, Green campaigner and Labour donor Dale Vince. Here he is speaking to Times Radio in April.
It would be wrong for Labour to consent new drilling in the North Sea. They were very clear pre the election. It's in the manifesto, no new drilling. Nothing has changed in our world to justify drilling in the North Sea. There's no economic justification. It won't bring our bills down. It can't give us energy security. It won't even last very long if we do drill. There's no evidence, there's no logic for breaking this very, very important promise to the electorate. So I hope that the headline's wrong and that Ed's not considering doing this.
Well, that was Dale Vince in April, but now he says he has changed his mind, and he joins me to explain why. Dale Vince, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for being with us. Look, do you disagree with yourself in April?
Actually, I agree with myself completely because I say in the current circumstances back then in April, there was no logic to it. There was no economic gain to new drilling. And there is an important distinction to make as well between new licenses and new drilling. I think the manifesto pledges actually no new licenses rather than drilling. I misspoke probably in April. But look, I'm proposing that we do something quite radical, which is take control of North Sea oil and gas pricing. Take it out of the hands of the global markets that are responsible for these incredible hikes we see at times of global tension, which then drive windfall profits. And the windfall losses, in effect, that we all suffer through our energy bills. We can end all of that if we take control of North Sea oil and gas pricing. And if we do that, then the case for Rosebank and Jackdaw does look different.
But look, I mean, you advised people to vote Labour at the election because you said it was the only way to stop the Tories from agreeing to new drilling. You didn't say vote Labour to approve new drilling, but with price controls. This is a very, very different position you're now adopting, isn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah, sure, you could say that. I'm not sure that that's the most important thing. I think the most important thing is what I'm actually saying, which is let's take control of North Sea oil and gas pricing. We published a study on that about 12 months ago, which showed that we could save £10 billion. We could knock that off our energy bills. And I think just this week, perhaps in your paper, or it might have been the Telegraph, a story came out about the 50 billion of decommissioning costs that we're facing in the North Sea in the next few years. No government has taken responsibility for that. If we price control North Sea oil and gas now, we can save money and set aside money in a fund to pay these decommissioning costs. We can protect the jobs that we've got, maximize extraction, and actually just make sense of all of this so that everybody wins.
But if this is true, this would have been true years ago. You're not just anybody saying this. You were once a major donor to Just Stop Oil. You were a donor to Extinction Rebellion. You were a fierce campaigner against North Sea oil and drilling. Do you regret that?
No, not at all. I think you're focused on the man rather than the ball here.
But you are the man. I'm speaking to you right now.
I know, but in your words, you're focusing on the man, not the ball. The ball is price control of the North Sea. This is a new idea, and I can't have a new idea until I have a new idea. I had this one about a year ago, published the first paper on it then, and it's an important part of energy market reform that we need to take in our country. Our bills are sky high, and it's not because of net zero, it's not because of green energy, it's because of the price of fossil fuel. We don't just allow global markets to set the price of our oil and gas, we allow them also to set the price of our wind and sun, because that's pegged to the price of gas globally. And this what I've just mentioned there, two of three major reforms that we need to make to the energy market, which could halve our energy bills. And I'm very focused on that.
Sure, but I mean, look, one of the reasons why this is going to be hard for the government to do, anything like this is going to be hard to do. It's one of the reasons why it's hard for them to do anything that says, look, we are going to drill for new oil and gas, but we're going to change the system, we're going to change the structures, but we're still going to be uncovering new fossil fuels. One of the reasons why that's so hard to do is because of a strong political mood that runs against it. And one of the major contributors to that strong political mood that runs against it has been you yourself. You have made this harder for them.
I know I disagree. I think this is a new approach to the North Sea that has not been considered before. I think it creates a pragmatic path through this debacle for Labour, for Andy, a way to, in a way, appease both sides of the debate. Right, Jackdaw and Rosebank have both licensed. And so we're talking about drilling here rather than new licensing, which was the manifesto pledge. And said I might have misspoke in April. But the way the Tories had planned it at that time was hundreds or thousands of new licenses, a big expansion of the North Sea. And I'm still against anything like that. These two projects sit in a no man's land. They're licensed but not consented. And what I'm saying is if we price control the North Sea, they could make more sense. They've got tiny amounts of oil and gas in them, by the way.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hit this one more time, Dale. But you wrote on your website in October 2023. You wrote this: I firmly believe there should be no new drilling in the North Sea for oil and gas. The international political and scientific consensus is clear. We can't afford to produce more fossil fuels if we are to avoid the worst of the climate crisis. What's changed? Have you just given up?
Well, I think I've explained what's changed ad nauseum in this interview. This is a new approach to the North Sea. It's about controlling prices, knocking £10 billion off our nation's energy bills, and making provision for the vast decommissioning costs that we, the public, are facing. And I really think we shouldn't, because the North Sea oil and gas industry has for decades made hundreds of billions from our North Sea.
Would you now say that the cost of living crisis is more important than the climate crisis? Because that does seem to be what you're driving at.
I think it's about pragmatism. You know, there is a cost of living crisis, and we have had that since last couple of Tory administrations. And I don't think Labour have done enough about that yet. And there's a lot of angst about net zero at the same time. A lot of that's confected. Green energy and net zero aren't putting up the cost of living, actually. But this has got at its heart a reform of the energy market that will be good for our country, that can bring bills down for business and for domestic users, and actually boost GDP growth. This is a really important thing.
We know that Andy Burnham is probably quite likely to approve new drilling. Some people might think you're just trying to align your position with the government's.
No, not at all. This is my position. And by the way, look, Rosebank is Jackdaw is a tieback. I think you probably know what that is. That's drilling from one existing field horizontally to a nearby one, which sits in some kind of grey area between new exploration and new drilling and that kind of stuff. And it'll make enough gas to last our country 1 year of consumption over its entire lifetime. And Rosebank will make oil that never lands in Britain because we've got the wrong kind of refineries, and both of them require vast taxpayer subsidies to get them built and stuff like that. So the economic case is still challenging, but if we can control the price of the oil and gas, we get something from it, and it's about time that we did.
You've said already that we should stop using the term net zero because it's become a toxic term, but is that still ultimately your ambition, that our energy should be net zero?
Yeah, I've said we should stop using the term, exactly as you say, but we shouldn't abandon the ambition and the targets. We absolutely shouldn't. And at the same time, as I say, we should price control the North Sea, and that way we could make sense of Jackdaw and Rosebank if the government are minded to. I'm a bit like shrug my shoulders about that. I just don't think it's the most important thing. It'd be nice to get it out of the way. At the same time, as I say that, I forget where I was going with it now. It is really vital that we maintain our commitment to net zero, the actual targets, not the language. I prefer not to use it, but that, we don't drop our ambition. Look, we've just had 5 heat waves this summer. 1,000 people have died because of them in Britain. It'll be 100,000 across Europe. 20 people have lost their homes and everything in them. And we have over 1,000 wildfires. I mean, the climate crisis is here. It's very real, and we have to do everything we can about it. But we can't lose control of the political narrative. We shouldn't allow Reform and the Conservatives to completely toxify the debate to the extent that we lose even a government that has a commitment to net zero, and so we have to adapt to the times and stuff like that.
Dale, look, there will be former supporters of yours, perhaps supporters of Just Stop Oil, supporters of Extinction Rebellion, who will have heard your last answer there and compare that with your new position that you're now in favour of drilling in the North Sea oil and gas, and they're going to be struggling with this, aren't they?
Yeah, sorry, but that's not what I said. I didn't say I'm in favour of it. I said we can make sense of it. And this is a very limited circumstance. We're talking about 2 projects that are already licensed. If they go ahead, I'm a bit like shrug my shoulders. I don't actually care. I think that they're getting far more attention and heat than they merit. I mean, you look at the amount of oil and gas that they have between them. It's a drop in the ocean of our consumption. We still use fossil fuels. I accept the argument that if we can make them here and it's economic, then we should. But in these 2 limited cases, I say, no problem, no harm. Let's just get it out of the way and move on to the more important things, because it's become a very distracting debate.
Dale Vince, thanks very much indeed for your time. There's Dale Vince there.